We know that you're an English teacher.
I still can't believe I'm teaching at 3 top universities in Thailand.
You know, I could see the sparkles in their eyes, like they wanted to communicate. And when I didn't judge them for their mistakes, their pronunciation, they could keep on trying. So I went back to London and did my TESOL course. I was born in London, but I was raised both in London and Bangkok. It's very confusing.
What did you do for a bachelor's degree?
Manufacturing engineering.
I was surprised to find out about that.
It's a long way from teaching English, so I was lost. I didn't even know till I finished my master's degree what I wanted to really do.
So what did you do then?
I prayed.
You prayed.
Or the core value of Islam is that we're a religion of peace, and I just think that's very beautiful. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. Faith should ground you, but not limit you. It's our own fear that limits us, and not our faith, not our hijab.
So you didn't like English, like the English class?
Never. There was a situation that changed it all.
Right, tell us.
Yeah.
Cru Sinat สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ Welcome to the show.
So honored to be here. Very excited as well.
Thank you so much for being here. We have followed your work and we know you from the internet online. So we know that you're an English teacher and we know that you have your own page and channel. So what else should we know about you before we start our long fun conversation today?
I do lots of many things here and there, so it's hard to define what is my job or what is my career.
Right, but basically it's about teaching English.
Yeah, so I put in my bio as educator and lifelong learner.
Wow,
that kind of sums up myself.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's talk about your name first. Your name, Sinat.
Okay. It's not a Thai name.
It's not a Thai name. Even though a lot of people are named C and Nat, but Sinat combined.
Yeah,
it's
that's
such a beautiful name.
Yeah, I ask people not to call me Z or Nat because I get confused with other names. So Zinat is actually a Hindi name because my great-grandparents, they're from Pakistan. And my parents really like this Indian actress. She's very beautiful. She's called Zinat Aman. And they named me after her. But I think the meaning is somewhere along the line of beauty and grace. In Hindi.
Yeah. Beautiful name.
Thank you.
Okay. So we know that you teach everywhere, and also your teaching job is not just in school, right? But what does it entail? What does it involve?
So right now I'm a part-time lecturer.
Okay.
And I also run my own English academy called CAS. Yes.
Yeah.
So my clients are very varied. I teach hotel staff and just people from lots of different backgrounds, not just high school or university students.
I see.
So it's very, very
interesting.
fun.
It seems like you are having fun too with your job. Very okay. We will go into that later. But first of all, I want to know, where were you born and raised?
I was born in London.
Okay.
But I was raised both in London and Bangkok. It's very confusing.
Okay. Walk us through that.
So I was my mom's family moved to London. My granddad moved there when he was a teen, so maybe in his 20s or something. So my mom and all her siblings were born in London. They lived there. But my dad is Thai and he stayed in Thai. Well, they're both Thai.
Okay.
And my mom had me when she was in London. And so having families still in both cities, they have to juggle, I think. อาจจะแบบปู่ย่าคิดถึงหลานคุณตาคุณยายคิดถึงหลาน so I have to go back and forth.
The love
yes,
for
I have to
all
go
the
back
grandparents.
I'd be in London for a year or two, and then I'll come back to Bangkok, study here for a year.
Was it fun for you, having to travel back and forth?
It was, but it was equally confusing as well. I had quite a confusing education, so to say.
You were very young when you had to. All right.
Up until I think I moved there permanently when I was in M.C. I studied M.1 to M.3 here.
Okay.
And then at the very first month of M.C, I went there, did my GCSE A levels all the way through my master's.
Okay, so let me get this right. GCSE, which is a secondary education,
Yeah.
that's the equivalent of มอต้น right? The middle school, and then A level, which is advanced level, is like high school.
2 years of high school.
Okay, มอต้นปลาย
Yeah.
Okay, so you did your A level in Britain, in London.
In London.
Okay, and then you continue on to the university, also in London.
Yes.
What did you do for bachelor's degree?
I did manufacturing engineering.
I
know
was
it's
surprised to find out about that.
It's a long way from teaching English.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the time, you had no idea about becoming a teacher
Never.
whatsoever.
Never. Not a
Okay.
teacher, not anyone working with the English language. No,
Okay.
because I really enjoyed science.
Okay. And you did great in science too, I suppose.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I
what
got,
was
I got through
your
university.
dream then at the time? Like dream job at the time?
My dream job, well, I wanted to be a lot of things. I wanted to be an astronaut,
Ooh.
a doctor,
I see.
a
Okay.
policeman at one point.
So you
So I
were
watch a
on
lot
the
of
right
TV
path,
series.
basically, right? What changed then? What was the thing that made you like pivot into something else?
Yeah, well, I went on to do science for my university degree because I enjoyed it. It was very challenging for me, and I loved it throughout the way. But then I think it's the content that I make online also. That's the kind of like the pivoting point. But I realized in my second year when like during summer breaks, all my friends were looking for internships. And then I went online to look at, the internship. They had job descriptions and all that. And when I looked through the job description, I'm like, nah, this is not what I want to do or where I want to be in like factories
What did it say? What did you find?
It's just like you have to be good at CAD and you have to be like doing all those engineering stuff.
Okay.
I found it interesting when I was in class, when I was studying, when I was doing my project and stuff like that.
But in real life and real work?
I don't think I want to be stuck in a factory, working with machines. I'm more of a
Okay.
people person.
Okay.
So I was lost.
So late realization, but
I didn't even know
At least-
till I finished my master's degree what I
Okay.
wanted to really
I see.
do.
Okay. So what did you do then?
You mean after my university?
After you realized that, I didn't want to do this.
I prayed.
You prayed.
I prayed.
Okay.
Because I was still enjoying what I did.
Okay.
But I just hope for the best. I think there's always a way out. With the Islamic teaching and encouragement from my parents as well.
Okay.
I still kept going forward with what I was doing. And then I think there's always a way out. At least
Okay.
if you're happy or you're enjoying what you're doing. I always tell my student that, some of them are worried that they are lost or they don't know what they want to do in the future. So I always tell them to calm down. There's always a way out in everything.
Yeah, I think we should normalize getting lost a little bit more.
Exactly.
Because it's not such a bad thing, getting lost. Because sometimes when you get lost, you find a new way, and
Yeah,
that
it
might
just-
be the great way for you to go on.
Just redirects you.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah, we will talk about what you ended up doing later. But for now, one word or more. This is a segment where we
Oh,
get
this
to
is
know
the
our
scary
guests.
part.
Scary?
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's a fun part.
Okay.
You're obviously scared of this. Okay, just take a deep breath. Okay, and
Ask
just
me easy ones.
answer the question. Okay, let me start with give me one British slang that best describes the Londoner.
This is the hardest one. Can I come back to this one
What?
later?
Because you've got a channel or your page
Yeah.
named Londoner,
Yeah.
so this should be like a piece of cake for you.
That's a slang. a
A
piece
little?
of cake, but we don't really say that. Maybe I don't know, a cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
Cup of tea, which is a cliche one as well, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So basically you can practically call yourself a Londoner because you live in London for so long, right? Okay. So what would be something that you would want to describe them about their trait or personality?
The Londoners. I see that as my past self now, so it's quite a little bit.
Past self, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think
So
I've
you've
changed
passed
a
that
lot.
phase.
Yeah, since I've started doing the Londoners. And now like my character and my identity is a lot different.
Okay.
I'm still a Londoner, but not in the same vibe.
Okay. So what were you like back then?
I think it was just the word fun, because that's the real reason why we started it. Because me and my middle sister, we filmed everything ourselves. I edited them, and then she makes the cover of the video, and we do it because we found it like fun, and it's that one thing we could join together because we were both studying at the time.
Okay.
And it's like the one activity that we get to share with each other.
Right.
So yeah.
So even when you were studying like science and stuff, you were making content?
Yeah.
Did you start making content like that early in?
I think it started when I was very young. I like to, collect moments. So I would take videos and pictures, even when we go on like family trips. At the end of the trip, I would combine everything into like some sort of a music video.
Okay.
And then I'll call my whole family and
like a montage
มาดู
of
ทริปพัทยากัน something like that.
and put it online for
not back then.
Okay.
Just we would sit on a TV. I don't think internet was that convenient back then.
I see.
I would put it on the TV and then call my whole family. We sit on the sofa and then we would watch the trip. Then I started putting contents on the internet when we started the Londoners.
Well, that is so nice too. Like to, it's kind of the way to like summarize the trip, each trip, and like share the moment with like and enjoy it like again after the trip is over. Wow, nice. Okay, let's move on to this one. Give me one English catchphrase that you say most often recently.
I had a thought about this one. I might not say it out loud, but I say it because I don't really speak English in my daily life, other than like inside of class.
Okay.
But we talk about one catchphrase that it's in my mind all the time would be the word cheeky.
Cheeky?
It's very British.
Right.
This word.
Right. The first time I learned about that word is when I read this novel from British author too. Like cheeky, I had to look it up. Like, what does it mean?
Cheeky, because cheek means scam, right?
Right, yeah.
Cheeky is like, how would you describe it? I use this word in my head often because of my husband.
Okay.
Lately, everything he does, like whenever he teases me, I would think to myself like, you're so cheeky. But I don't say it out loud. That's why I said I don't use this word. And the British people, you would find the word cheeky with the word Nando's. Have you tried Nando's, people?
No.
It's a very famous like chicken restaurant that the British people love and adore. And we'd be like, cheeky Nando's. What about which one? By Nando's, but it would be cheeky Nando's. You can Google this one.
Okay. All right. So okay, I'm your student, and I come to you and ask you, what does cheeky mean? How would you explain
Cheeky
it?
would be mischievous. Something like that. ซุกซน ขี้เล่น
So,
somewhere along that line.
Yeah, because the context where I found this word in the novel is like someone would say like, don't be cheeky. Like อย่ามาทะลึ่งนะ
อย่ามาทะลึ่งอย่ามา
อารมณ์ประมาณนั้น right
like
don't be
that,
cheeky right yeah very British right
very very British.
yeah wow okay one Arabic word then or phrase that means the most to you.
If I had to choose one, it would be Assalamu alaikum. Have you heard of this word or phrase? It's a way of saying hi, like how we as a Muslim say hi to each other. And I said it since I was very, very little. We use this to greet each other. But then I only knew the meaning of it when I got older. It translates to something like may peace be upon you. You say this word as a hi, that's the first thing you greet each other with, and then they would say back wa alaikum salam, which means and peace be upon you. So instantly you're not just saying hi, hello, but you're saying that I'm coming to you with peace.
Right.
It's just wishing each other peace, and that's like that is like the fundamental, the core concept or the core value of Islam is that we're a religion of peace, and I just think that's very beautiful.
Biggest value, right? Peace and peacefulness. Okay, that is a very nice phrase. Give me one of your most favorite places in London that you still miss.
Okay. I cannot like pinpoint the location because it's just right opposite my house.
Okay.
It's where I go most whenever I'm happy or when I'm sad.
Where did you live in London? Like right in the center or?
No, not right in the center. I used to live at the very west. It's an area called Harrow. And then I moved to the very east, East London, Canary Wharf. And my house is like right across, like right opposite River Thames. Not the busy touristy side of Thames, but it's along the river and it's just very peaceful. So I go and cry there, listen to my music, and you know, and when I'm happy, I go there and just enjoy the view. It's just a very peaceful spot right next to the river.
Yeah. We all need places like that, right? Your most favorite and like peaceful place that you can always go back to, right? Yeah. And even though you're not there anymore, I think you can still like
I can picture it
in your head, right? It'll be our place forever. Yeah. Okay. All right. One British habit that you've still kept now that even though you're now back in Bangkok.
Okay. My friend hates this one. I tend to walk very fast.
Oh, okay. So they're a fast walker, the Londoner?
I guess so because when I'm there, it's I walk in my normal pace, but when I come back here, like I usually come back every summer, and I would like meet up with my high school friends, and then I'd be walking, and then I had to look back, and they're like 20, 30 steps behind me,
right.
And they would say to me like, "Ma kon dio lo," or something. They hate it. They hate it when I like walk and just leave them. It's not like I don't know. I'm it's just my normal pace. I think it's the like you know the rush and the pace of London. People move in a certain speed.
Right. Also the weather, I guess. Too.
Yeah, maybe people just want to rush to get inside because it's cold. I don't know, but I find Thai people they walk slow.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the
and I think maybe it's
pace.
because London is such a walkable city too.
Yeah,
but not in Bangkok.
Not in Bangkok.
It's not very walkable here.
Yeah.
So maybe they have to pay more attention to like what's going on on the pavement and stuff like that. So they wouldn't like fall into like some hole in the ground.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay. So fast walker. One useful college course you wish you could take once again, or that you didn't take but you wish you had.
We were discussing this a little bit earlier, and I was confused with the question because college in the UK it means the same time as the A level. So college means ม.ปลาย
Okay.
In college for
not the uni.
Yeah, the US version is the university.
Okay. So when we say college in the UK, it automatically means ม.ปลาย
ม.ปลาย
high school.
We never ever like refer to college as university. We would say uni.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can pick which one you want to talk about, the college or the uni. Like the course you wish you can go back and take again, or one that you didn't but you wish you had.
I had fun with all my engineering courses. I think there's one interesting course that not many people know about. When I was doing A level, we have this course called EPQ. It stands for Extended Project Qualification, and they would pick like the top 20 or 10% student to do this course. So they would pick the capable ones because it's an extra credit that you can like do, and basically it allows you to do whatever project you want. You write a 5,000 word essay on it. You could create something, you could go and research, or you can basically do whatever you want, but at the end you exhibit your work and you explain it, and it's a very good thing that prepares you for university life. And when I did this course, because I was doing all science A levels, I did math, chemistry, biology, and so when I did this project, it was based on combining Thai traditional dresses with like modern twist or something like that. It was completely the opposite of what I was studying, and all my teachers were like, they were shocked. You really want to do this?
Good shot.
Yeah, good shot. At the end of the day, like I created a Thai dress. I came back here, sourced some Thai silk, went back there, sew it to a dress, asked one of my friends to be a model, and then it was really, really fun. I got to do something outside of what I was studying.
How did you come up with the idea?
I just
Was it your passion, like fashion, or
yeah, I did
you-
fashion in GCSE.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's very
Alright.
one interesting thing about GCSE as well. It gives you so much option.
Right,
you can
right,
choose
and
from.
freedom too. To
Yeah.
like, okay. So how did you get A from this class? You have to be like the most like surprising, or you have to present it in the best way, or what?
I think it's the logic behind whatever you do. This project asks you to, like, whatever you do, you need to be able to justify and kind of like reflect on what you have learned.
Okay.
I think that's the grading criteria for this project.
Wow, fun.
Yeah.
So what would be the projects from other students in the same class?
One of my friend created a game. He was very into gaming, so he made a game. The other just kind of like criticized a poem. He was very poetic and he's into like language, so he did that. So you can do whatever, but as long as you are able to reflect and talk about it.
Wow, such a nice concept of the class.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah. It would teach you a great deal too.
Yeah,
because you
prepares
would
you.
have to combine like everything in order to come up with a good project, and then you have to like present it too.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really
Wow.
fun.
Nice. Okay. Right. One sentence you'd like to say to your Muslim fans who might still be scared to dream big and pursue it.
I have a lot of my followers, I think more than 80% would be Muslim, because we can see like the demographic statistic behind our like social media status, right?
Yeah.
If I could tell them one thing, especially like young Muslim women, maybe that faith should ground you, but not limit you.
Okay.
And we can let that sink in for a few seconds.
Right.
So ground means the floor, right? And then it has a lot of different meaning, because when we say like you're grounded, means you are trapped. You
Yep.
cannot go out, right? But grounding it in another meaning means that you are rooted. So like our faith, our religion, our values, our beliefs should, เป็นที่ยึดเหนี่ยวทำให้เรามั่นคงมากขึ้น It should ground you.
Right.
But it should not limit you to like grow upwards and forwards. So yeah, I think that's a lot of the time, like my followers would come to me and they would be like, how do you get out of your comfort zone? How do you do this? How do you encourage yourself? And I just think that it's our own fear that limits us, and not our faith, not our like hijab, not us. Yeah.
Right. Because for a lot of people, and well, me included sometimes, it's very hard to balance the two.
Yeah.
While you have to be very realistic and true to yourself, also you have to sometimes be like dare to go out of your way to do stuff that you had never dreamed of doing. Sometimes just in order to like test yourself, test your limit, and see what else is out there, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you also did too with your life, when you kind of like go out of your way and like, okay, even though I got degree in engineering, I'm gonna go do something else totally different.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself like, I think you can do whatever. Just try. At least if you fail, you know that you have already tried.
Right. But you have to like have some calling. Was it a calling that made you decide to go the other way and go after the education path?
It wasn't really like a calling. There was a situation that changed it all.
Right. Tell us about that.
So I think the last summer after I graduated, I came back here to Thailand, as I always do every summer. But that summer, one of my relatives, she's an English teacher at a school in Ayutthaya. So I visited her, and she goes like, come to my class. I want my students to like, get some of like those energy from you, and I want them to be inspired by you. And so I went to her class. She told the students that I cannot speak Thai. This is like a teacher from London, so be nice to her. She cannot speak Thai. I was in that class. I was supposed to be there for one day. I ended up staying for the whole week.
Wow.
Pretended that I could not understand them.
Okay.
And what I got back was they tried to speak to me. and then like they try to communicate the students, and I've never had that kind of like vibe or that environment when I was studying in Thailand in our English classes. It was very different. So at the end of the week, I reviewed myself basically, and they were like, "Really, you understood everything? Everything we gossiped about you?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I just had to stay, and I just had to keep doing this because I could see the sparkles in their eyes, like they wanted to communicate. And when I didn't judge them for their mistakes, their pronunciation, they could keep on trying. And I just thought to myself, like, what if I could do this and make money out of it, and get this. This happiness, this fulfillment that I got from this class. So I went back to London and did my TESOL course.
Wow.
After that.
Just like that.
Just like
that. One trip changed everything.
Changed my life.
Don't you love it when that kind of thing happens to you? Like,
yeah, it only happens in movies, but
I know. Yeah, but it does happen in real life too, and that was amazing. I could only imagine. But you went back. And did you consult with anybody, like your family members, that, okay, I think I'm going to do this now instead?
Everyone was shocked. It's like, you're going to waste your degree? Really? Yeah. Is this what you really want to do? And my parents were like, we remembered like you not liking English when you were in school. How come? Like, what happened? Are you sure? And all that. But
so you didn't like English, like the English classes?
Never.
Okay.
Not English language, not English literature in school.
Okay, so you're not into like grammar, literature, none. You don't want it.
Well, in Thailand we focus on grammar, right? And I never liked grammar when I was studying English in Thailand. When I went to England, we had a literature course, and I was never really poetic or I'm not a person with lots of words, but I enjoyed it. It was interesting to me, but I didn't do really well in English lit. And so I never ever imagined myself as an English teacher.
So did you have to convince everybody around you to let you do this, or you would like, okay, I'm gonna do this no matter what, with or without your support?
No, very luckily my parents are always supportive of what I do. They would talk to me, we would discuss it, but then they would leave everything to me. They never like force me to do something that I like. They were worried when I chose engineering. It's like a very masculine industry. They're like, if you're sure, after the discussion, they're like, okay, do it. And then after, when I told them that I would go into language or teaching, they're like, are you sure? We discussed it for quite a while.
Another kind of worry from parents now. That,
they're worried, but they're encouraging in a way, and they understood. They let me do it. Some of my older relatives are, a bit different. Yeah, but I just didn't care.
Which is fair. We can understand that, right? Yeah. So, well, now that you decided that you want to change your path in life, what did you do then? I mean, did you have to like you didn't have to take another degree, like another like bachelor's, but you chose to go with TESOL, right? So that's your answer. Okay, so tell us about TESOL.
TESOL was something I thought I wanted to do at one point in my life. Okay. Because I tutor English before, like along the way. There was a choice between TESOL and CELTA, which is practically the same thing, but it's like certified by a different governing body. So,
so first of all, TESOL is like teaching English to speaker of other languages.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you get this degree to be certified and to be able to teach people who don't speak English as a first language.
As a first language.
Okay.
And it's recognized globally.
I see.
As well, TESOL.
Okay. So and how long would that take you to finish the degree?
There's an intense version for a month. And there's like a part-time course for 6 or 3 months that you can do.
A month? How intense would that be?
I nearly didn't survive.
Okay.
Yeah, it was intense. It was even more intense than like my master's degree.
Okay. So you went with the 1 month version.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've told someone before that it's like a military camp for future English teachers.
Okay.
I cried. I didn't
Wow.
cry for my degrees for the duration of 3 years of bachelor or a year of master.
But you cried for
Did not
this.
shed- Yes.
Wow. Okay, so what exactly made you cry? Which aspect of it?
I think it was the intensity. It wasn't difficult, but it was really intense. So we had to study full time. So I would go to class from 9 to 5, and then we had homework every day. I would finish the homework or the coursework around like 1 or 2 a.m. And then in the morning I had to go back to class. And this course has like lots of different aspects. You have like the class where you will be taught, and then you have teaching demonstration. You have to prepare for that teaching demonstration. You have the instructor and your peer. It's called like a peer teaching. So the friends in your class would also sit there. And before the class, you would have to make a lesson plan to the minute. And then after the class, it's real students, by the way. So it was taught in a language school. So the
Okay.
students are real students who actually
Okay.
paid to study there.
Okay.
Right after the class, you would sit down with your instructor and your peer, and they would give you feedback
Okay.
to the minute.
Like instant
yes,
feedback.
this question that this student called like Paula asked you, and do you remember how you answered her?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a different way or a better way you could have answered that question? I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
It was very
Yeah.
stressful.
So were they being ruthless to you? Like intentionally ruthless in order to
like
be okay.
the teachers were very nice, and all my friends were very nice as well.
Okay,
We were
okay.
going through the same thing because I had to then give him feedback for
Right.
his teaching
Yeah.
as well.
So
we
you will
were
get him
helping
back.
we help each other.
And
It's
that's
fun.
what you mean by intensity.
Intense.
Okay.
There's a lot of coursework. You have to write essays. You have
Right.
to design lesson materials and everything. So,
I see.
yeah.
So I imagine your English has to be like on the top level in order to be able to teach. And then what would be the other aspect, like the way you deal with the student, like different kinds of students who have different needs and different like things like that. So different personality or different like learning techniques and stuff. Yeah, you have to like
We
study
learn
about that too.
Yeah, different like teaching techniques, and also we have to learn about the individual students as well. So we would have to teach a big class, and then we were given like an individual student as well. For example, if my students were Spanish, I would have to study the background of the Spanish language
Right.
to know the similarities and difference between Spanish and English.
Wow.
So as their first language and English as their second.
Okay.
And then I'd be able to understand why she couldn't pronounce the word, or why she's mixing up the grammar. See how the first language is interfering with
Right.
their English learning process.
Yeah. I've heard
was-
something about like the false friends. Like you have to know about that too. Like what would be the common misunderstanding
Yeah.
that makes them like miss the mark on like the language.
Yeah, and it's very in depth as well.
Right.
I would imagine you would have to do these sort of things in like a degree, a master degree, or I don't know, at least a year-long degree, because
Right.
there's a lot of, you have to do research, you have to design the lesson, you have to teach, you have to criticize and recreate your lesson plan.
Yeah.
It was everything all at once in like 20 days.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the linguistic part, but it's
No,
also
it's
cultural.
Also, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you have to, like as you said, you have to understand their first languages to like not only one, but you have to understand like many also. Yeah. Because it could be very possible that you have like students from like different countries, different cultures all at once in one class of yours. Oh, okay. So that could be very confusing and a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's one of my greatest life achievement. I told my mom, like, if I can pass TESOL, I think I can do anything. Yeah.
So tell us more about your TESOL class. How about your classmates? Who else attend this class?
Who else?
What are they like?
Yeah. So our class was quite small, and I think that's like the universal kind of like a rule of English classes. We tend to not want more than like 12 or 15 students per class for the teachers to be able to look after all the students. And I think there were 7 other teachers in my class. I'm the only Asian one. 6 of them were English, like British English. Another one was American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all of them are native speakers of English.
Okay.
It was quite fun. Like, we helped each other, and the one thing I realized is that, like, yeah, well, I already knew this, but Asians are really good with grammar. Even though I'm not that good with grammar.
You're still better than others.
For an Asian, yes.
Okay.
I'm still better than them. They were like, what? Like, we've studied this since we were in, like, what, ป. 1. We like, you know, basic small grammar structures, but they used it naturally without realizing that there is a hidden structure or a pattern behind the grammar or the language. So everything was new to them. They had to, like, study the 12 tenses from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even native speakers have to go through all this too.
Yes,
it makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. So it's really true. It's like that. So they were struggling with understanding, and I think sometimes it could be more difficult than learning from scratch, because they were able to use it this way, but they didn't know the meaning or, you know, the structure behind it, and they had to, like, unpack everything all over again and make sense of the logic behind the language. So it was quite fun and entertaining in a way. So I would help them with the grammar that I could explain, and they would help me with understanding the classroom management, because most of them are quite older than me. They're already, like, teachers or stuff like that. So they took this course and they taught me a lot of, like, you know, their classroom experience and classroom management, which was really helpful. So we were a great team. Yeah.
Okay, what would you say is the biggest lesson from taking TESOL, and how did that change the way you teach?
I think because the TESOL course teaches us to be very structured in our planning, but we don't have to implement 100% of that plan into our teaching. We were made to do, like I told you, like, the lesson plan to the minute. So for a 1 hour class, you would have to, like, you know, justify. You would have to say from minute 1 to 5 you would do this activity, and what the students will gain from it, what are the anticipated problem that the students might have, and what are the, you know, potential solution you could do to solve that problem. So for example, if you were to teach the word, like, anticipate, and then you would have to, like, think about, what if the students don't understand this? How would you explain it? And, you know, it's just, like, a lot of thinking in different layers. But I think the course taught us most to be, like, aware and to be mindful of what we're doing. So like a general lesson structure, you would have to have, like, an icebreaker or a warmer to begin the class. Then you would have like a leader to lead the students into the language that you would teach in a certain class. You would have the main content, and then you would have, like, a practice session after what you have taught them to see if they are following through, if they understand. So those are, like, the generic structure. And basically what I got and what stuck with me till today is that I have to think ahead and be mindful of, okay, if I'm doing this activity, is it really helping the students to, you know, do the next activity that we are planning for the class. So everything has to make sense. Everything needs to have a purpose. It's not just filling the 60-minute gap in the lesson. So yeah, just makes us mindful of what we're doing the whole time, and that at the end of the day benefits the students a lot.
Okay, so what about the like, the psychological part of it, like you have to understand, and you have to find, like, way to make them understand what you're trying to teach them. So it might have to do with a lot of, like, psychological stuff as well, right? Do you have to teach yourself about that?
Well, I think I'm good with, like, understanding and emphasizing people. So I didn't have much of a problem about that. It's just some of my friends were really having, like, they were really struggling, because, like, when the students don't understand, or that, you know, they get a little bit stressed, the other teachers, they became more stressed than the students. Like, I really don't know how to help the students. I don't know how to explain it to her, because it's very different from like, teaching a class of Thai students that we share the same L1 or the first language. We call them L1. We have the same L1. You could come back and explain everything in our mother tongue. But with international students, you cannot do that. So it was really difficult for some of the teachers as well.
Yeah, super challenging. And do you have that kind of stress too? How do you cope?
I just make fun out of it. I just laugh.
Yeah.
But just make it enjoyable.
Right.
That's
because if
how
you
I
get
always
stressed
teach.
too, that wouldn't help anything, right? Yeah, because everybody's stressed out now.
Yeah. But one thing is, if I don't really know, I'm not sure about something, I would always tell my students, like, let me check it. I would never just
pretend to know.
I would never pretend, or I would never, go off topic or whatever. I would tell them, I'm not quite sure about that. Let me come back to you, and I'll quickly Google or like do a little bit of research, or come back the next day and then tell them when I find a better way or the easiest way for them to understand this.
And if I were the student, I would feel better about learning too, because nobody knows all, right?
Exactly,
so even the teacher doesn't know about something, and she's making an effort to get the answer for us, so that would give me a very positive feeling about learning together. Okay, so what did you find out about yourself as a teacher? Because this is the first time that you will become one, right? So what kind of teacher did you find yourself to be?
I never imagined myself as a teacher, like, teaching someone. When I first started teaching, I think I asked everyone to call me P, because I didn't feel qualified, or I didn't think I was good enough to be ครูของใครบางคน
Okay.
Something like that.
Right.
So I also just call me PC Nut, like, in my classes.
Right.
I thought I always see myself more as a trainer, as a facilitator, or as a mentor. And what I discovered was, other than teaching, there is so much more for a teacher than feeding them with like the content or the knowledge. You have to really get down to their level, understand them, be friends with them. When you win the heart of your student, you don't have to do something big, but just understanding them. They would open up to you, and you could practically ask them to do anything, especially university students, which like some teachers get stressed with. Like, some of them don't really pay attention, they never come to class, they don't participate in like the class activities. I've never had those problems with my classes. I think it's when you build a good rapport with the students, you can ask them to do anything. Like, one of my students, he's like not a game addict, but he's always like playing games on his phone. Some teachers find that like disrespectful, I understand, but to me I feel like we have like different attention spans, or maybe he just really hates English, but my job is not to force him to study. My job is to make him be more open, or at least enjoy the class a little bit more. So I would be like, his name is Yod. Hopefully he's watching this podcast. I'll be like, Yod, can you come up and do this question on the board, and I'll let you go back and play your game. So he would come up. In other class, he'd be like, เด็กหลังห้องนี่ไม่ like ไม่จอยไม่ทำอะไรเลย He would come up and he would try to do fill in some answers and stuff like that. His friends would laugh, whatever, would have a joke about it, and I'd be like, very good, now you can go back to your ROB. And his answers are mostly wrong, but most of my answers, not most, that would imply I'm a very bad teacher, but like a lot of the answers are wrong, and I let them be wrong, and then we correct them as a class. And I feel like that really encourages the students, because when you ask someone to provide you with an answer and they answer incorrectly, and they would feel ashamed or shy or discouraged from
Yeah.
giving their opinion. So I would
Right.
make it like really, really okay for them to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And we would just like, correct the answers together.
Yeah. Already you're one of my most favorite teacher in the world because, well, looking back at my history
Yeah.
with relationship with my all my teachers, well, the one that I like is the one that I feel that they're on my side. That's it. That's it. If they're like on the other side and they try to like get me somehow, already I hate them. And if I hate them, or well, hate is such a strong word, but if I don't like them, if I don't love them, well, I'm not willing to do anything that they ask whatsoever. But if they're on my side, just a little bit, I would like give them a chance.
Yeah, giving chances.
Right.
You give them
Yeah.
a chance, they give you a chance to teach. Yeah.
Wow, nice. So what would be the biggest problem that you've observed that prevent most Thai students from speak English comfortably?
I think it's kind of like similar to what we just talked about just now. I think it's the confidence and encouragement that they get from studying, because we all know that English that's taught in Thai schools are like grammar based, or it's just like really academic. And when if we actually look at English, it's just a form of communication. It's just another mode, another whatever. So if we make it like content heavy, like very academic, they won't get a chance to, for some people it works. They have to study the grammar, know the structure, then they'll be able to produce the language. But it doesn't work for all types of students. So the ones that don't function that way or don't learn that way would be discouraged. And I think like Thai people have this like common fear of making mistakes or being wrong. I think it's just the educational environment here. It's very different because I was educated in both countries. I could clearly see the difference between when I'm sat in a class in London versus when I'm sitting in a class here. Whenever the teacher asks us a question, we as a student would feel it coming. We would just like heads down and then pretend that we're like, yes, intensely, taking down the notes. But in London, when the teacher asks us a question, some people would, put their hands up. They want to share their ideas. When we get picked by the teachers, we would just like give them our opinion, and that's it. I think it's the way we are asked questions as well. If you ask a question to get a right answer, most people would not want to answer that question. But if you're just asking for opinion or just to check whether they are following through, it's a different kind of environment and the vibe that you are given.
It's not as intimidating because we can feel a lot of intimidation in the classroom, even though the teacher is not intimidating you like directly, but the vibe is so scary. บรรยากาศมาคุตลอดเวลา
Even if she's asking the person next to you, you would feel so bad for that person. Like, oh God, it's not me, but like,
right,
you're feeling it.
And this should not be the atmosphere of a classroom, like learning environment should not be like this, right? It should be where you feel like comfortable to share, to make mistakes. But well, sadly, most classes in Thailand are not like that yet. But I think it's getting better, don't you think?
It's getting better, I think it is,
Yeah, because at least on this show or on this channel, we talk so much about like how we can get more comfortable with the language. And that would be the opposite of like, you need to get it like properly. You have to be like correct with everything. Okay, that's nice. So are you now teaching in school or where? Besides like online, your channel on your page.
I'm teaching everywhere. I feel like I'm everywhere.
Okay.
When I first started teaching, like after my TESOL course, it was at the beginning of COVID. So I was stuck at home. I was teaching online to mostly high school level students.
Okay.
So like preparing them for exams or just, teaching general English. But then a few years ago, I started lecturing at universities. And then when I started my own academy, I have lots of different clients, like I've told you.
Okay.
And now my students are so varied. Like I get to teach lots of different groups of people, different backgrounds, different English levels, and that's just very eye-opening for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically two types of teaching. One in the university as a guest lecturer or as a permanent lecturer or
guest lecturer
mostly. And then another thing is that you have your own CAS academy where you have clients like companies, corporations, and they come to you with what kind of problem and what do they want you to help them with?
Mostly from my past classes, they just want like the clients would want me to help their staff to be able to communicate better in English.
Okay.
So I have taught like hotel receptionists, housekeepers, engineers who had to fix solar cells at their clients' houses, and they had to communicate with their clients. And I think one of the ones that stuck with me and the one I really enjoyed was teaching a group of staff that sells home fragrance. For that one, I had to study lots of herbs that make ingredients of the fragrance. So I had to be able to teach the staff to explain the scents.
So what do you mean? You have to study lemongrass and then come up with all the vocabulary involved.
So perfumes and they would have different adjectives to describe a scent, right? Is it woody, musky, earthy, floral, stuff like that?
Okay.
And they had to understand. They had to know the meaning of each ingredient in English as well, which is very difficult. They had hundreds of different herbs and stuff like that.
Wow.
And also they have to learn the pattern of their service. So that's the homework I had to do for every course. Every course is tailored. So from different companies have different service sequence, right? So they would greet their customers. How can we help you today? And then I have to give them a loose structure of sentences they could use to talk to their customers. Wow. From greeting them to the payment process.
Right.
So it's very fun.
Yeah, it sounds very helpful too and very practical. People can actually use this in their work and that would improve their quality of work too.
Exactly.
And that would also expand their possibility of making more money, more business, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is as you said, you have to be customizing for all the industry, which is different industry. It depends on. Okay. But going back to the universities, I imagine that you cannot be as flexible. You have to follow some curriculum, right? So you have less flexibility and freedom to create your own method or approach.
Yes, with the corporate clients, they would come to you with a thought with what they want, the goal, the outline, and then you have to tailor the course to satisfy them. But with university courses, most of the time they have a fixed syllabus, and most of the time they have many lecturers teaching the same course.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes there could be 10 classes, so 10 different lectures. So you would get the same core syllabus.
Right.
But then you do have a little bit of flexibility into how you deliver those content.
Right. Because at the end, the students would have to have the same exam.
Same exam, yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
But it does challenge you on how you could, deliver them. It's so I think it's not the content. The content matters, but what matters more is how you translate this knowledge to your learners.
Right, right. Going back to your first experience in the classroom back in Ayutthaya, right? You were teaching small kids, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it seems to me like you're teaching grown-ups. Right. So what would be the difference, and what do you like more?
What do I get to pick? I don't really like choosing sides, but I always thought I'm more suitable to teach like, teenagers because, okay, well, when I first started, we were around the same age. We were really close. We could joke in classes. I understand them. They feel like I'm like their sister or something like that. So it was a really good vibe.
พี่ซีนัท
Yeah, PC Nat. So I felt like it was really fun. But then when I started teaching adults, learners, I feel more fulfilled in a way because, like you said, it's practical, and when they get to use it right away, it makes a difference to their career, their work, and their life. And so I feel like I'm doing something good or useful here. It really fulfills me when a student comes back for the next lesson and they'll be like, oh, I tried speaking this sentence, or I tried out this vocabulary, or I use this in this situation. They come back and tell me, and I'm like, oh, like, yes, something I taught helped them.
Yeah.
So it's a really fulfilling feeling. But also like when we teach students and they pass their exam, you're equally as happy.
Yeah.
So it's really, really hard to choose.
I want to ask you about something. We all know when it comes to language, the earlier you start, the better, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who are like already grown-ups, like they have passed their school years. So right now they're working, they're like earning money, they put all the focus on like doing the good job at their work. But somehow they need to pick up their English because they know that would help them with their career. But they would always have this kind of concern that, am I too old to start? Am I too old to learn? But like I'm this old already. So would that help, like taking classes? So what would you say to them?
There's so many concerns about that. That's exactly what my students would come to me and say about as well, like I'm too old or stuff like that. I think the first like adult learner I had, she was 43. She's a dentist, and she needed to like she wanted to move abroad or something like that. I'm not sure. So she wanted to start a lesson. And I think I spent like 3 lessons encouraging her, just giving her the motivation that you can do this. And then when she came over and then she was like, yeah, I think I want to give it a go. Like I'm ready now. She just started, and then it went quite well. I think like we talked before, when you build a good rapport with the students, when they trust you, they give you a chance. Then you can actually make a difference there.
Yeah.
And I think with adult learners, you have work, you have family, you have a lot of other things. I think what's important is that you deliver like a straightforward content. With university or high school students, you have like a whole term of building up that knowledge and giving them the foundation of the language. But then some people, they just have a limited amount of time, or like different patience and stuff like that. So you would have to find a way to just like condense or pick the most important parts of the language that you want to teach them, and then deliver that. So I think it's really, really hard being an English teacher.
Yeah.
The way you have to understand all your students, customize those language or those content for your students, and be able to help them grow as a learner.
Yeah, that's all you do, I guess, customizing for like different people. Like, you customize for
DIYing everything.
DIYing everything. Yeah, but that's what a great teacher would do, I think, because everybody's different. They have like different sets of problems or struggles or like whatever behind the scene that we don't know about. So try to understand them and try to help them with whatever they can. You guys can meet in the middle. I think that would be like the best too. Yeah, wow, so cool. Well, tell us about your page and your channel.
So
the Londoners still going on.
Yeah.
So what's going on in there?
Not much.
Okay.
Not much. Well, I started the Londoners as a vlog back in I think 2017, and I was just like showing snippets of my life, talking about my experience living abroad, studying abroad, and stuff like that. And then when I first started out, a lot of people came commenting like can you speak more English, can you, because I'm on the vlog with my sister, sometimes we speak to each other in English and they're like, oh, we love your pronunciation, can you speak English more, and that kind of that's how the channel started. But as we grew up, that started when we were both students. We're studying in university, and then when we started working, it kind of like took away our time, and so we didn't produce much like long form content. So now when I'm doing like different roles, like I'm teaching, I do a little bit of like MC and like voiceovers and stuff like that. I would then start to create like short form videos on other platforms showing like most of my lifestyle and like working routine and stuff like that. So the content itself changed as well. But if I can manage my time better than I am now, I really want to go back to doing the same content that I did.
Yeah. So for someone who wants to follow you and hear you speak more English and have you teach us a few things about English, what would be the best place to go and follow you right now?
Right now,
the most active channel or platform.
Right now would be Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
Under my name.
Okay.
So it's a personal one, which is
I'm gonna
the
put
easiest
it on the screen right now so you guys
to
can go.
update.
Okay.
But then if you want to see how the Londoners started or our journey, you could visit our YouTube channel. It has like lots of our old videos, traveling and stuff like that as well. And hopefully I'll go back to do a bit more content on that platform.
Yeah, please do more. Okay, because this is like the longest conversation in English that I hear from you. So I guess a lot of people would want to hear more of this too. So please make more content for us speaking English.
Okay, I will try my best.
I have a lot of fun talking to you today, and I can't believe it's been an hour. Already, yes.
Oh,
an hour. And yeah, we can still like keep talking all day, but well, sadly that's all the time we have. But before we say goodbye today, you know the routine. I ask all my guests their most favorite word, like ครูซินัทมีคำนี้ดีอะไรที่อยากจะแชร์กับเราวันนี้ครับ In English or in Thai?
I thought about this a lot because I think it's the most epic epic line that you would feature in the video. I had a very hard time picking one.
Okay.
But if there's going to be one word in English, say a word, it's two words, that, well, my mom always teaches me, is be kind.
Be kind.
I think it's a very nice, beautiful word. My mom she never told me to get good grades or study harder or do this better or whatever. The one like value she would teach me since I was little is be kind. For example, she would kind of compliment me if I take my grandparents out on a dinner and I paid for them, and then be like, but she'd say like, she's proud of me that I'm kind. She's never proud that when I'm on the stage doing whatever, she's like, oh yeah, you're good. But whenever like in a situation where I show kindness, she would always compliment me, and I think, I don't know, it's just
that's
it's
the best. Yeah.
Since
be
I was
kind,
little, be kind to others, and also be kind to yourself as well. In like this day and age, in this fast moving world, I think a lot of people sometimes can be unkind or even cruel to themselves.
You could be too hard on yourself sometimes out of the good intention of you want to get better or you want to like help others more, but unknowingly you could be super unkind to yourself in that way too. So just be mindful of your kindness. Okay. I love it. ครูซินัทครับขอบคุณมากครับ Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.